Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the player ranked #1 in the world by Dark. In the blue, the final boss. It's Dark. Up against the aggressive Protoss in the red, we have Lemon. In a best-of-3 Zerg versus Protoss showdown, where Dark's controlled chaos faces off against the zest-like attacks out of Lemon. And you know what they say, when life gives you lemon, beg people to like and subscribe. And Jimmy, what? No, we're moving on. 1,504 likes on this video, on this cast, and I'll cast another one. And, well, I'll probably do it anyways. I don't know what else I'd do with my life. But thank you for watching. Hopefully, you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little better than this drones. As Dark, I don't know if he wanted to proxy hatch. You know, I think I know he wanted to proxy hatch. Was he intending on proxy hatching? It's unclear. But now the Adept will murder him mercilessly. He was kind of annoying, that probe, but a Stargate on the way. 1-gate Stargate from Lemon. Not even bothering with a second gateway, so kind of trusting and maybe almost daring Dark to do some sort of early all-in. The Adept shades away. The Overlord watches, snickers gleefully as the Zerglings get in, but a second Adept comes out and the Zergling should be dealt with, at least for now. Pushed away. And on the other side, the Adept did scout the third. And Dark, nothing untoward. He's not going to get baited into that sort of early aggression. Going to be asked politely yet firmly to leave by the Queen. And will shade away. Third base, ridiculously quick out of Lemon. About as quick as you could ever get it while still pretending to have any sort of defense. 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Not too much later than Dark's third is finishing up. And he's on a bare bones economy as well. The Queens will have to be ushered in. Queen pops out of the third just in time. Launches a knitting needle. A couple more and 2 more in the main. As the Oracle driven away. Permanently damaged. And you know what they say. That which doesn't kill you leaves you in a vulnerable state, constantly fearing for your life for the relatively short rest of it. Which, put that on a mug or something. Another Oracle comes in, trying to accomplish what the first could not. But looks unlikely to be able to get any sort of damage done. But its mission of taking a look around and making sure the Queens hadn't run out of ammo is a overall overwhelming success. The Oracle will make the Overlord uncomfortable as it directs the Stalker to its location. Not exactly necessary, but, you know, gotta give it something to do. Meanwhile, a quick blink timing. As Lemon gonna try to squeeze Dark before he has any sort of early defense. It's just gonna be Zerglings and Queens for quite a while. Dark has had 52 drones and counting. He's just now getting a lair. The Roachhorn is on the way. Evolution Chamber as well. But Dark is not gonna have anything but the lowest possible tech, at least to deal with the first iteration of this attack. And Lemon is moving out immediately. He has the Oracles in tow. He has the ability to cover his Stalkers from Zerglings with those Oracles. So the Queens are really the only thing stopping him from moving forward. And, well, the Queens wear a lot of hats in the early, mid, and late game for Zerg, so that's not the least bit surprising. And Brenda, call everyone! Susan, 1, no one uses phones. All right, it's 2025. Oh my God. And 2, they're already here. Look around. Sorry. Blacked out for. Hydralisk Den is on the way. Dark not even bothering with roaches against this. He doesn't want any half measures, at least double measures here to deal with it. And Hydras are about the best possible counter with Zerglings in front to deal with Blink Stalkers. But they're still a long way off. The stasis is denying some of the Zerglings, not taking them out, because that's, well, not exactly how it works. The Queens are taking quite a pounding from the Stalkers, but for now, they're able to handle it. Another stasis triggered. Zerglings coming out of stasis and helping to surround some of the Stalkers, but the bridge is in the center of the map, and right now, Dark shall not pass. Queen's getting chased down. There is the cooling tower, which is a bit of an awkward terrain mechanic. We haven't seen too many of them. Like Dark noticed as well. It's gonna take quite a while for the Queens to bring that down. but can help lock out this base, make it a little bit harder for the Blink Stalkers to pressure. And now some Hydras. A little risky to put the Zerglings. Oh, okay. Hydras will help out the Queens with slightly more effective knitting needles. More stasis from Lemon, who already has a 4th base and 67 probes. Knocks down the tower, but easily blinks out of the way. Technically, it can kill units under it. Practically difficult to pull that one off. Another stasis. It actually triggers without catching anything. So there's a slight cast time. Blink and you'll miss it, which is one of the only ways to actually dodge it. So, meanwhile, the Hydra Ling count starting to grow. Roach speed is on the way, as is Hydra speed. It looks like Dark interested in a mid-game sort of timing. A lot of Zergs nowadays are less than enthusiastic about playing an advanced late game, especially against something like Skytoss or Storm. And right now, Lemon is adding on Templar, Psionic Storm. He already has a 4th base. Is that his 1st or 2nd Robo? 1st Robo will be done, so no Mass Immortal quite yet. But Lemon clearly backing off the level of aggression and just kind of in a holding pattern right on the edge of the creep, waiting for Dark to make a move. Well, Dark, no infestation pit. He's only got 69 drones, now upgrading it, but a nice enough economy to continue producing units, but not so much to actually tech up and get to, like, lurkers, vipers, anything like that. He seems very intent on getting to 200 supply and hitting Lemon before he can have a critical mass of any sort of high-tech Protoss. The Stalkers, there's enough of them that with the bridge to retreat to, they can probably hold this position for a while. They're keeping the creep at bay, though Dark is going along the sides with it to make sure it's effective. The Templar are joining up with the main army. But Dark is going to go through the rocks, the debris on the left side. We'll open up the watchtower as well. You can technically blink a Stalker in there, or drop, I guess, a Zergling or something. But and now, behind it, a fleet beacon is on the way for Lemon, clearly intent on teching up. But Dark is going to try to make sure he never gets there. The Roaches and Hydras coming in. Zealots cut down. And a odd exchange in the center of the map. It's just Stalkers and Templar. Knocks out one of the Oracles. I told you the life expectancy was going to be low. The Storm stopping up more of the units. A Stasis catches a solid chunk of Roach Hydra. More reinforcements coming across the map. Most of the Storm's exhausted. A wave of charge lots is warped in. The Hydra's being thinned out. Only a few Roaches remain, and the charge lots come in from the back. Targets down the Archon, the most valuable part of the army. But Dark having trouble actually closing in on these Stalkers. The Roaches and Hydras come out of stasis. Stalkers blink in to box out. Stasis comes up and catches a handful of Zerglings, but 4 Zerglings weren't going to make or break this attack either way. A Templar, wait, no, the shield battery, I think, energy recharge. The Stalker's blinking back. Great micro out of Lemon so far. Another wave of charge lots warped in. And at this stage, well, Dark has decided to show both sides, showing their knowledge of the cooling tower. Yeah, I think it's the first map in at least a few map pulls that we've had with that sort of, we'll say, feature. A mothership is on the way as Dark opens up his side of the map. Just mass Hydraless. Another dozen Hydras in the production tab. But the mothership, that's the one, is halfway done. +3 ground weapons is on the way. Immortal as well. And Lemon's going to have quite a hefty army. Pretty juiced up at the moment. Though, what he is missing is that sort of immortal count. He doesn't have the 5, 6, 10 immortals you sometimes see in the late game. So, entirely reliant on the Templar to soften things up so the gateway units can do the rest. But that is a lot of Templar with plenty of energy. The mothership is about to complete. A real contender on the field in Time Warp, and cloaking could be a devastating move for Dark, who doesn't have any detection anywhere nearby. But the mothership's not done yet. The probes starting to die at the natural. The Roaches and Hydra slip through the wall. Zealots will be warped in to defend. The Storm's trying to zone out as well. Archon's doing what they can, but the Concave is so damn good. A few Tempests pop out onto the field. Dark continues to stream Hydras across the map. Oracle goes down, but the mothership has arrived just in time. And with the active cloak, he's going to be able to drive the Zerg back. Another 30 seconds or so, and I think Dark may have broken through and done critical economic damage, but the mothership turns things around in cinematic fashion. Lemon, a few of his probes cleared out. He plummets to a 4-worker lead. Dark has Overlord speed, but no infestation pit, no hive on the way. Is Time Warp already used? Right there on the field. The Archon's coming through. Another Archon taken down. Not enough energy for Storm. How long an energy recharge? It is available in 2 more seconds. We should be seeing at least a Templar with a couple Storms warped in at the very least. The Archons are holding. Dark supply around 160. He doesn't have the bank, he doesn't have the tech, and Lemon's army is only getting better and better. Seems no inclination towards Hive at all. It's do or die. He wants to kill him before he gets the Deathball, but time is starting to run out. The Zerglings getting cut down by the Zealots. More reinforcements added on will eventually break through, and another division of Zerglings is split off to try to overrun the base. The shield battery will eventually be taken out. It's the only upgrades are +2 attack for either side, and ranged attack explicitly for Dark. That means the Zerglings easily cloven in twain by this amount of charge slots. More than enough to drive back the Lings, and 3 Tempests on the way at a time. Lemon has maintained a massive amount of probes throughout this. Dark only now going above the 80 worker mark. So the income's about even, as Dark has plenty of modding across multiple relatively fresh bases. He's got 10 Corruptors on the way because at some point Hydras just don't cut it. And that point is when they have more than 1 air unit usually. 15 Corruptors. He wants to sweep the mothership out of the sky, knock out the Tempest. The Tempest, with the most recent patch, getting a bit of a buff and costing less supply, 5 to 4. Which means you can fill in a lot more army underneath. And by that I mean like 3 or 4 more Templar, which amounts to a lot of army effectively. More Tempests on the way, but Dark, his attack's starting to run out of steam. He's getting desperate to find something. The Corruptor is trying to snipe off the mothership, but that distracts the army for a moment. He's going to kill a lot of the probes at this base and maybe the Nexus itself. 9 probes dead. Corruptors chasing. It's just Templar and Tempest, and Dark trying to make them temporary, but the cloaking zones everything out. That cloaking device, more than enough to keep Dark at bay. The Roach Hydra will evaporate under the withering storms. And there's no detection. Dark has thrown so much at him. But overall, the losses are relatively similar. 70 Hydralisks have died. Wow. When the Hydralisk deaths are in the same realm as the Zergling ones, it's a bit dicey. But now Lemon's coming across the map. He's on Dark's territory. At least to some extent, but there's a lot of Templar. The mothership. Storms are ready. Reinforcements on the way, but here comes Dark with a near full surround. The Corruptors on top of everything. The Queen's getting involved as well. And that could be the difference. As the Corruptors are cutting down the Tempest, the mothership may be the only anti-air left. There's just not enough. Well, it's the Corruptors will be able to chase. Clearly Dark wins on the ground. But the Corruptors don't have as much of a decisive victory in the air. They will take down the mothership. I think the key point, the Queens with the transfuses, holding it all together, as they always do for the Zerg. You're goddamn right. Oh, okay. But with the Queens in tow, he might need to bring them across the map to help out with the attack in order to make this happen. Another Tempest will be effectively spawn camped as the Corruptors will casually stroll through the base looking for a target. They find the natural and will just melt it with caustic spray. Meanwhile, Roach Hydra, a single Corruptor doing a lot of damage to the Nexus, eventually gets taken out. But the Roach Hydra, the creep, is on the doorstep of the base. And right now, Dark is the one who knocks. The Hydras with a beautiful concave. Lemon made the mistake of attacking. He just went straight into the heart of the swarm. And now his only legacy may be void at this stage. Wow, 16 minutes in Infestation Pit. Dark has made Lair Tech work. He lulled Lemon into that ill-fated attack. it may actually have to go to Hive. That does seem to be the state of things in Zerg versus Protoss. Kicking, screaming, clawing, burrowing. Well, not burrowing, but doing absolutely everything. And then, if all that fails or the game is still going, we may think about a Hive. He has whittled down the economy, Lemon down to 150 supply. Somehow still has so many probes. He's double expanding to his natural and to what could have been his third. But the probe count is still damn high. The upgrades are good. +3 weapons and +1 shields, which outstrips Dark's +2 attack and +1 armor. And the gateway unit's quite good against just Hydras on their own. He needs some Zerglings in front to offer themselves. The Zerglings will have to settle for coming in the back, but that has its own benefits. Hydra's moving up, and are there any Templar? No! That means he's gonna run the table. This gateway army cannot compete, well, with another 20 Stalkers. But 3 Corruptors have melted through the shields and are working on the Nexus. He warps in some Stalkers, but I think he's gonna get, well, he's re-shielding. No shield battery overcharge, chasing down the army. Oh, it's gonna be close! What a save. Lemon able to keep that Nexus intact by shielding it with the battery. And now is chasing down the Hydras on the field. Hive is finally closing in on completion. As for the first time in quite a while, oh my, they've lost 70,000 resources in less than 20 minutes of the game. Almost, anything over 3,000 per minute is ridiculous. That is the equivalent of 3 bases of mining. And anything past that means they're essentially throwing everything into the fray. Or something ridiculous has happened. The Zealots will take out another hatchery. Both sides kind of retooling for the next and probably even more dramatic fight. As Dark is working on a lurker den, nanomuscular swell for the Hydras in order to dash around the field, as well as +3 ranged attack. Lemon has just been trying to rebuild his ground army. He hasn't bothered with anything in the sky. The Corruptors showing their value, but Hydras are everywhere. He has 33 Hydras and he's building more. Quite a Hydra risk out of Dark, but another storm will just electrocute those Hydras to die. I don't even know how Storm... It's not really that important. Alright, lightning damage. Spontaneous lightning strikes all over the storms. Is it wind? Alright. Can there be wind in places where there's no... Not in... Hydra lunge. It is lunge, isn't it? It's done, and Dark is very aware of it. Lunges forward and looks to chase the army. A chunk of the gateway unit's going to be collapsed upon. The last storm is used. The Nexus is vulnerable, and the Hydras are closing in for the kill. There's not a single Templar, but that's about to change. Energy recharge available. Recharges 1 Templar. The storms will drive the tide back. And dashes, lunges away. I really gotta use the right terms, otherwise I'm gonna screw myself up permanently. Meanwhile, more Roach Hydra to the top left corner. Dark dashes back onto the... lunges back onto the creep. Put another one in the lunge jar. 18 lurkers in production for Dark. And he's not even maxed out with it. Gambling almost everything on those lurkers. There are 2 carriers in production, but they have not yet arrived. And I don't think 2 carriers are going to be enough to drive back this many lurkers. He can easily cut through... Wow, he's just gonna go for the run. Here's a demonstration. All right, it works. He can easily cut through any of these Nexi. If Lemon is in position with Immortals and Templar, though, it's going to make the attack a lot more difficult. And so far, Lemon's done a great job of zoning Dark out of his bases. He's maintained such a massive probe count as well. His economy has been really solid, but here come the lurkers, thrusting directly in between the bases. He's going to try to slice them in half here. This center base, if he can cut this off, it makes it easy to pick either side to attack. And more Zerglings coming in. He's going to target the shield battery. Hydra's rallied across. The Nexus is done. 2 Robos One depowered, the other one just straight up taken out. The carriers will slowly start to chip away at the lurkers. The Gateway army chases down the Hydras. Both players trying to expand to the bottom right corner. Hydra's lunging away. The Queens may be called in yet again. As every fight the Queens have participated in, the Zerg have won. Everything else has been a lot dicier. And speaking of dicey, the Storms on top of the carriers in order to take out the roaches. But of course the carriers can weather it. The lurker count, still 17 of them. As Tempests have rejoined the production tab. The second wave, a much more conventional looking late game. But Dark is just trying to keep the momentum up and not letting that Deathball come together. And so far, with the Templar being whittled down, Lemon hasn't quite put everything on the table that he needs. He doesn't have all the pieces. He doesn't have the Immortals. He doesn't have the Mothership. He's only got +1 in the air. And meanwhile, the Roach Hydra Lurker is cleaving through the base. The probes are vulnerable as well. And Lemon is going to be left with almost no mining left. He's only got the single base right around the 9-10 o'clock position. The 9 o'clock has completely mined out. The third base has been ripped from the field. And suddenly it looks like Dark has all the mining, and Lemon is forced into something of a base trade. And by base trade, I mean he has to attack. It's not really a trade. He doesn't have a base. He must attack. And Dark, well, we're once again headed into Dark territory. The Queens will let the Mothership know it's not welcome here. Zerglings, Dark so good at splitting what seems to be the weakest or relatively weak Zerg units and making so much. Not exactly not the time for a probe transfer. Oh no, a serious problem now for Lemon. He was able to survive, but Dark's onslaught has continued, and at no point did he give up his economy. He's just making mass spores, a whole sporist with lurkers over here. He knows the Hydras are not actually an anti-air unit. They're quite good against ground, though. And he's been using them to great effect there. Hydras forcing out more storms. He's down to 4 mineral patches. Lemon is bleeding out. It appears at this point, only the rind remains. Dark has successfully peeled him. And now, well, he seems to be a bit sour about it. Single lurker. Is there even there's one observer. He's got 1 depowered robo. If he loses the observer, there's no more detection. And yeah, well, the thing is, Dark isn't even maxed here. He doesn't have money in the bank. He's expended everything. The Mothership is on the other side. He's doing a full recall. But the Mothership gets taken out. The Hail Mary is slapped down at the goal line. And that's it. GG. Dark takes it home. In dramatic there were 0 probes left at the end of the game. Despite how many probes did he kill? 120 probes. 2 Motherships, 23 High Templar, 19 Archons. It cost 128 Hydras, 400 Zerglings. What a brutal game from both sides, leaving it all on the field, but Dark had more to leave. Well, I don't know what I expected, but this sort of mid-game Zerg style that relies entirely on the Zerg keeping the aggression on. Very entertaining, but when it fails spectacularly. But players like Dark don't have a tendency to fail in this sort of scenario. So, I don't know how I feel about it, because it's very clear that the Zergs do not want to go to the late game. Not without doing critical damage, or whatever damage you can do. We see Shin, pretty much everyone but Cyril at this stage. Then again, that's always been the case, hasn't it? Cyril is like, this is how you play Zerg correctly. Okay, first we expand and we defense it. We have the right, we simply control 3 spellcasters simultaneously while macroing perfectly. No, well... Or we hit him in the face and hope he gets a bloody nose and can't react in time to actually build that Deathball we were so scared of. I'm quite impressed. Lemon is a player that I haven't seen too much of, mostly because he gets knocked out relatively early. He's top Grandmaster, but there's a pretty big divide between top Grandmaster and competitive pro level. But so far, it really felt like a strong ladder sort of Protoss play. Like, very solid timings, great macro, just kind of held down the probe button and made sure he had plenty of units. But Dark just throws everything every which way, and somehow, it's like juggling flaming swords. But at some points, he just throws one at you. You're so distracted by, well, there's a lot of things to be distracted by in that scenario, but you don't see it coming. And eventually, one of those attacks lands, and then the next one's more likely to land, and then the one after that. Like, we saw the Corruptors do the damage, and then Lemon just stopped going for Sky Toss until the Lurkers showed up, but it was already too late to deal with it. Dark keeping control of the game despite the difficult unit composition. I'm interested to see what Lemon does on this much more Sky Toss oriented map. Stargate, of course, right? We all know that is the build. Against Terran, it's Blink. Against Zerg, it's Stargate. And against Protoss, it's whatever comes up on your D20 die. That is how Protoss build orders work. Yeah, in the current meta. Adept headed across, trading places with the probe. Speed is on the way. As Dark... I think it's Nidus time. Alright. This is a Nidus map. Somehow Dark makes the Nidus work. Even if they know it's coming. I don't understand what he does with his Nidus worms, that they always seem to be more effective. Doesn't even need to finish the first time. Like, by the 3rd or 4th attempt at a Nidus, somehow that's still good enough. You just gotta have this level of... You gotta trust it's going to work. Even if it looks bad, you just believe it. You believe it's going to work. And sometimes that's enough. You can't really half-ass it as Zerg. You gotta full ass, at the very least. As much ass as possible. And Jimmy, edit that out. Just, you know, like... User prerogative. Sorry. Technical difficulties. Twilight and Robo behind. Robo? Robo's first, actually. And it's over here. At the wall. Again, putting tech in the wall. So, getting a Robo this early has implications. The implications are, this isn't what people usually do. I don't know what he wants, but will it be an Immortal first? Warp Prism. So, charge? No, he's mining gas. Templar. Templar attack. I like the Overlord that was out of vision range this whole time. Will come in and see everything. He's gonna see the Templar archives. He's gonna see the Twilight, which should have been researching charge already. Why aren't you just... You're not gonna be able to hide it from me. He already knows the Twilight and the Templar are there. Why aren't you upgrading? I'm doing just Archons. They call me the con artist because I only make Archons. Okay, bro. Yeah, he's gonna do an Archon drop. But Dark is very much not in the himself about this. This is huh. Okay. It's an old build, but it checks out. Or does it? We're gonna find out. Kills a couple drones. The queens. We'll, make sure it... The queens... Brenda! Oh, that was just carrots. Don't... It's fine. Oh, fine. Well, life is gonna be a lot quieter now, isn't it? I know. Susan, just don't say anything, all right? We're all thinking it. Just don't say it. Sorry. Well, the Archon drop does lead itself into Immortals and Storm. But he still hasn't gotten anything from the Twilight, which I think is a just straight up mistake. You need Charge or Blink, but pick one, not none. Double Immortal production. I guess if you just exclusively go Immortal Archon or Immortal High Templar or any mix of those. Oh, there's the Charge. Okay. But if he had gone for the Charge when he had the resource, like right as the Archon drop was happening, I think this is shaping up pretty well for Lemon. But Dark is now going to have a very similar effective Roach Hydra attack. This is a lot of units coming across the map right now to deal with. Yes, he has Immortals, but Dark has the economy behind. Might be like, he has the same amount of workers, but he's going to have a fourth base as well to work with. You know what? Well, Dark. Oh. Dropper Lords. He's gonna drop the base. DJ Dark is lining up for another option. Lemon has only power units, 5 Immortals, 3 High Templar, 2 Archons, and 1 very dead Oracle. Now, the Roach Hydra just kind of waddles over to the 4th base. Do either of these units... He does have Roach speed. Just looks kind of slow because it's stuck behind the slow Hydras. Bit of an awkward angle. The Storm's from the high ground. Charge not quite done yet. Concave pretty good. Dark. Gonna sacrifice a bit of the Roach Hydra to take out some Templar. But I fully expect a massive base drop, unless he's just able to win this fight. But the Storms are warding away for now. Roach Hydra again, just leaning in and out. Immortal's doing a lot of damage to the Roaches, but Dark? Is it time? Operation Overlord will begin. Well, he wants to fight the army on the field. But the mass Overlord drop is on the way. Of course, Lemon going to force the issue with an attack down the center. That is a lot of Immortals. 7 Immortals. Several High Templar. I think he only has like 2 Storms ready though. Meanwhile, the Roach Hydra, a beautiful concave. 3 sides of this. Oh, what a spread. I can't believe it's not butter. And, well, that's... Yeah. Lemon tried something new, but not everything new is good. And here, Dark taking full advantage. The Immortals try to be juggled back. Can only fit so many in the prism at a time. And it seems like Dark's just gonna walk over and kill him. Which... Yeah. Didn't even need the Overlords. Lemon just walked into a massive concave. Maybe got a bit of cold feet after game 1. GG. And taps it out, bringing us to our anti-spoiler bonus game. A decisive victory for Dark after a tenuous game number 1. But now we've got something just a little bit different. 2 versus 2. Euthermal and Trigger versus Beyond and Shin in a 2v2 showdown from one of Wardy's newest team game tournaments, which I'm excited to show off because I do want to show more. From my understanding, Euthermal is also having a team game tournament. He's been enthused about some team games lately. So, from Team Basilisk, it is Trigger. Alongside Salsa Tequila, a.k.a. Uthermal. Up against Shin and Beyond. Not in that order as pictured, but 2 versus 2. Roscallion is the map. And very interesting to see how much pro players coordinate in team games. As a lot of the time, well, the game is kind of designed just like 2 1v1 players who happen to be sharing a base. But a lot of your normal builds do not work. If Beyond just goes 3cc into bio, he will likely die to a concerted attack from the Salsa team on the other side. So we already see Uthermal opting for a 2 racks opener. Trigger has 2 gases on the way as well. Shin is just expanding, and it looks like Beyond is going to go for a 1 racks expand. It isn't your normal Metal League gamer experience where you have 60 actions per minute and 80 words per minute turtling to carrier. No. At this level, and from what I've seen of pro team games, you have either the players who just pretend it's 1v1 and they want to make a few $100 on a new tournament. Beyond, who does this with pretty much every tournament he does this with 1v1 and every other tournament. I can't get over when he was playing in a map tournament and didn't realize how to get out of his base. Beyond does not care at all. He signs up and then does no research until he gets in the lobby of the match, and maybe not even then. But I digress. The point being, if you don't respect the fact that this is indeed a team game, you very well could die in the process. But as clearly, Team Salsa right now is opting for an all-out attack. There's a Stargate on the way. 3 racks from Uthermal. It's going to be Mass Reaper. Whereas Beyond is just... Beyond! Beyond's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go 2-1-1. Alright. Like, you know you're playing a team. 2-1-1. That's what I'm doing. Shin is also doing a pretty default build. It's always awkward for Zergs in team games because creeps creep and it gets in the way of your teammates and enemies alike. The Reaper's coming in. Zergling's still pretty far off having speed. There's an Oracle on the way as a Trigger looking to support. And the Reapers could easily either take out the Queens or drag them out of position right as the Reaper comes in and really dictate the pace of the early game. Beyond's Reaper looking to match, but 3 Reapers is quite a good counter to 1. No amount of micro is going to solve that problem. He gets into the main. The SCV's vulnerable. The Marines come out, though.
Stay cool.
I made the mistake of going to the Shin Cam again. I do that at least once per match we have with him. Time to raise my AP. Adept comes across. That Oracle is on its way as well. Actually going to support the Reapers and make sure the Zerglings can't take him out nearly as easily, but gets a little distracted. Another good grenade bounces the Reapers and Zerglings apart. Well, Marines coming down as Shin disrespectfully just taking a 3rd hatchery. It appears Team Salsa opting for a full-on 2-pronged attack, whereas Beyond and Shin are just kind of playing a macro game, and so far they're doing just fine. I talked all this big game about you have to work as a team, and concerted attacks are very strong, but so is just having more stuff. And it appears the Zerglings, Queens, and Marines are more than enough to shut down this early aggression. As Beyond has Marines on both sides. He is going for the 2-1-1 straight up, knocks out the Oracle from Trigger. And now the Korean team. Here's the most dangerous part of the attack. There's a stasis on the way. Will that actually catch the... He's going to try to trigger with a single Zergling. Will do so easily. Queen pops out. Another Queen coming down. So it's like, can we spread the creep? No, the Terrans say no. They're going to be very annoyed. They're always... Sorry. The Mass Reaper, though. Hatchery in the red. More Queens coming down. Beyond not participating at all here. Probably waiting. He should already have stim done. He does. 2 medevacs on the way. We'll have those 16 Marines and 2 medevacs lined up. The build he's so well known for, but the main base, the Reapers could take out the Squirt. That is a lot of... a dozen Reapers. A stasis is on the way, but will actually complete a huge move. And now easily gonna cleave through the drones. There's only one spore in the main. The Reapers could jump up as well. But just murdering the drones. The Zergling counterattack, though, absolutely nothing at home to defend at either U-Thermal's or Trigger's base. And we're going into a full-on base trade. He takes out the Spore Crawler. Where are the Oracles? They were either recalled back. Yes, recalled back home to defend. But the Zerglings, the door's open. The Zerglings get into the main. Oracles have to chase. There's Zerglings in every single base right now. U-Thermal's natural is cleared out. Trigger's main base is vulnerable. The Oracles are pretty much out of energy. The Reapers are back in the main. U-Thermal's still trying to get some damage done. You can't recall Reapers, unfortunately, but he's actually straight up beating the Marines. Though with Stim and Combat Shield, it's getting harder and harder to take a decisive victory. Beyond is forced to use his Marines at home. And that means Team Salsa is holding. The Foracles roaming around. Shin is at 35 supply. A devastating number at this stage of the game. Beyond will have to put the team on his back, or maybe load it up into medevacs and send it across the map. Siege tank is done. Reapers coming in for more. The SCV's vulnerable. Oracle's coming in for support. And it really does feel, despite the early struggles, that our non-Korean team definitely coordinating better overall. And the early aggression finally paying. Why is the starport here, Beyond? I don't think that was on purpose. I think he just wanted to move it over. He's got the 5 racks on the way. Shin desperately trying to put a decent... He's got 26 drones. Oh, it's a painful... painfully low economy. Team Salsa. U-Thermal now begrudgingly making Marines and medevacs. He could also repair his teammates' Oracles as well. I'm not sure if we saw any of that. Beyond trying to take a third. The creep, kind of a band of it out the front in order to give some vision and some help to Shin, who's been struggling this whole game from start to still at this moment. Only 60 supply at 8 minutes, and it's not going to get any easier. Medevac drop in the back of Shin's main. And another medevac drop from Beyond, shut down by U-Thermal's Marines. And a token stalker. The Marines and Shin... he doesn't have a lair. Oh, God, it's rough. What a tough game for our Korean players, who kind of ceded the initiative with their standard 1 racks and early hatch builds. Beautiful stasis, catches Marines as well as he retreats back. Still Marines in the main. We'll gun down another queen, work it on the drones. And Team Salsa really pulling it together now. 200 combined supply, whereas Shin and Beyond looking pretty healthy, but now U-Thermal has the Marine count. And with some Oracles to help, the Siege tank's in position. The Zerglings boxing out as well. A bit of a misfire on this attack will cost Trigger a lot of his Stalkers, but look at the mini-map. Look at how many bases. They've got 3 going on 4 on the other side of the map, whereas Beyond, well, I guess technically Shin has 3 bases, and he's up to 60 workers. If he can survive, then he will have... He's not even done with the bear. It's bad. It's bad. I can't do it. It's bad. Shin is in a really tough spot, and the fact that U-Thermal is also Terran with similar upgrades and economy to Beyond, his upgrades are going to be a little bit slower. But a double drop in the main. Does he have a recall? Yes. But does he even have enough army to reliably recall at all? U-Thermal is going to have to come back and defend Trigger here. The double drop loaded up. The Stalkers are warped in. He does have Blink to intercept it. Beyond not paying attention. I think he's fighting on the field. Might lose both. A strong gust of wind would take out that medevac, but holds for now. Meanwhile, Marines coming down. The last in the siege tank. Trigger zoning out the Zerglings. Out of Shin. Overlord taken out. The supply is still very rough for the Korean team. The only real advantage are Beyond's upgrades. And the fact he's Beyond. Shin providing some Zerglings. He's tried to go to Roaches, but he's been on pretty much life support this entire time. Only now finding some economic footing. But the worker count is devastating. Thermal building some missile turrets in order to zone things out. A scouting sentry in sentry mode. The medevacs, 4 medevacs, full of Marines, and that's it. Classic Beyond strategy. But Trigger will recall back, and Euthermal chasing down with Marines of his own. Wants to be careful not to fight when medevacs are not in tow, but it's not going to be enough there. Trying to turn things around. The Marines cutting back. Beyond at 150, and Shin now up to 150 supply. So the Koreans turning it around. The Corrosive Bow knocking down an Oracle, helping out. Shin finally has units he can play with. He's been cyberbullied this whole game so far. The medevacs doing their best. Beyond gonna be losing. God, he's so good with the medevacs. He's losing so much on the field. The Marines moving to intercept. Oh no. All 3 medevacs taken out of the sky, and just like that, any sort of initiative is shot down easily. But the supply is growing dramatically on both sides. We're going to be close to a 200 supply fight. Team Salsa has much more on the board and more economy to back it up. But they have less workers, which means the army supply is actually relatively small. Beyond has 2-2 done. Shin has 1-1. Trigger at 2-1 and Euthermal at 1-1. So overall, the advantage goes to Beyond. Siege tanks trying to battle it out. They don't have much to fall back to. Really trying to get the damage done here. The constant fight across the board. Euthermal has so many siege tanks. Beyond will drop into the natural. Few siege tanks wandering forward. Huge, massive drop from Euthermal, though. The base train from both Terrans. A single siege tank at home. Zerglings and Roaches coming in, helping to drive this back. Trigger has plenty back at home. Knocks out one of the medevacs. And the Zealots on top of the Roach Ravager. Meanwhile, Beyond has managed to clean things up. But Team Salsa is consolidating as well. It's just siege tanks on their own. There's still so much economy for both sides. Shin is back to 37 drones. I take it back. Shin has been bullied this whole game. But Beyond just lost a whole chunk of SCVs at his northern base. He has a planetary half covered by creep. And the siege tanks pummeling Marines in the midfield. And, oh my, he lost the orbital. A hectic back and forth brawl, but GG! Beyond taps it out. And Euthermal and Trigger will take the game in an epic display of 2v2 between the top tier players. What a game. Well, hopefully you enjoyed both of our matches. Hopefully they made your day just a little bit better. And if you want to see more, well, if you got the means of motivation, be awesome to check out Patreon. Thank you to our new mule patrons, bringing in the most amount of minerals, if you would. Big Jiggy, Dorke, Mario, thank you very much. And, well, I hear liking and subscribing is still free for now. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.